how are you? Today we will discuss about the noun clause and relative clause. First of all, we will know about a clause. What is a clause? A clause is a group of words that form a part of a longer sentence and has a subject and predicate of its own. That means a clause is a part of a longer sentence and it has always subject and predicate. It has always a subject and predicate. For example, Ram is a good student. Ram is a good student. It is a clause. Hari is a good player. It is also a clause. It has a subject and predicate. Here Hari is a subject, is a good player is predicate. So in this manner, a clause is a part of longer sentence which has a subject and a predicate. Then we will discuss about main clause. Main clause is the principal clause which always stands alone and it is quite independent. Main clause is always independent. It has a complete meaning. Then what is subordinate clause? Subordinate clause is always dependent on the main clause. Subordinate clause is the dependent clause which always depends on the main clause. For example, the teacher said that the earth moves around the sun. The teacher said that the earth moves around the sun. So what is the main clause? The teacher said, it is the main clause. That the earth moves around the sun, it is the subordinate clause. Because that this earth moves around the sun, it depends on what the teacher said. So the teacher said is the main clause. The earth moves around the sun, it is the subordinate clause. Now we will know what are the types of subordinate clause. Subordinate clauses are of three types. First one is noun clause, second one is relative clause, third one is adverb clause. First one is noun clause, second one is relative clause, third one is adverb clause. Then we will discuss what are the types of noun clause. Noun clause is also of two types. Number one is that clause and number two is double H clause. So please remember, what is that clause? That clause always starts with the word that. For example, the teacher said that the sun rises in the east. The teacher said that the sun rises in the east. So you see, the teacher said, it is the main clause. That the sun rises in the east, it is the subordinate clause. So I told you that the that clause always starts with the that word. So it is one kind of noun clause. Next, double H clause. Double H clause always starts with a double H word. The teacher said what he had taught in the last class. The teacher said that what he had taught in the last class. So what he taught in the last class, it is the subordinate clause and it is also one kind of double H clause. Now we will discuss the functions of the noun clause. Now we will focus on the different functions of the noun clause. They are subject of a sentence, object of transitive verb, object of preposition, complement of the verb, and expression in opposition to another noun or pronoun. Again, these are the different functions of the noun clause. That means the noun clause is used in a different manner in a sentence. Are you clear? First of all, subject of a sentence. How a noun clause acts as a subject of the sentence, we will discuss it through the examples. First function of the noun clause is the subject of a sentence. Now you see, what he says is correct. As you know, a sentence starts with a subject. it is clear that a noun clause starts as a subject. So there is an example. What he says is correct. So here the underlined clause is called the noun clause, and it acts as a subject here. It acts as a subject here. The second thing is the father has come home is true. The father has come home is true. Here that father has come home is the noun clause, because I have told you the noun clause also starts with that word, and it is also a noun clause. Your main clause is true. You should not mean that there is a word silent. It is true. That means it is true. So generally we say it is true that his father has come. So here it is written that father has come home is true. Third one is whether he will stay here is not certain. Whether he will stay here, it is the noun clause because it starts with a double H word. I told you that a noun clause always starts with a double H word or a that word. So here this example starts with a double H word. Whether he will stay here, it is a noun clause. Is not certain. That means it is not certain. It is not certain is the noun main clause, and it is the noun clause. It is not certain main clause. Whether he will stay here is subordinate clause or noun clause. Second function of the noun clause is object of the verb. Object of the verb means here Radha said that she was happy. Radha said that she was happy. Here Radha said, it is the main clause, that she was happy. That she was happy means here the transitive verb is was. Transitive verb is was. That she was happy. I asked Radha how she felt. I asked Radha, it is main clause, how she felt. It is used as the object of the verb. So you can ask me how it is used as object of the verb. Here she felt. Felt is the main verb. How she felt. So here how is used as the object of the verb. Here verb is predicate. Verb is the finite. Felt is the finite verb. And here how she felt is the object of the transitive verb. Third one is complement of the verb. Complement means what? The word which completes the sentence is called complement. So the next function of the noun clause is complement of the verb. It acts as a complement of the verb in the sentence. The difficulty was how we would arrange the font. Here your noun clause is how we would arrange the font. It is the noun clause. It starts with double H word. The difficulty was. It is the main clause. So you can ask me difficulty was what? Then it completes the sentence. How we would arrange the font. So when the sentence is incomplete, the word which completes the sentence, then we call it as complement. So here the noun clause acts as a complement to the main clause. Do you understand? Next, the problem is that we don't have any money. The problem is what? What means it is incomplete? The problem is what? That we don't have any money. That we don't have any money. It is the noun clause. As it starts with the word that we don't have any money. It is the noun clause. So here, this particular section is incomplete. So the problem is what? Problem is that we don't have any money. Are you clear what is the complement of the verb? Here verb is. It is the verb. The next function of the noun clause is an object of preposition. Object of preposition. So there is an example here. You should pay attention to what I say. So here you just there is a circle in a word too. It is preposition. It is a preposition. And what I say, it is the noun clause. So it acts as an object to the preposition to. So here the noun clause, what I say, it acts as an object to the preposition to. In the next example, there is no meaning in what you say. Similarly, here the preposition is in and the noun clause is what you say. So this particular noun clause, what you say, is an object to the preposition in. So from this example, we are clear that here the noun clause acts as an object to the preposition. Then come to the next point, an apposition to another noun or pronoun. First of all, you should know what is an apposition. Apposition means just the replacement. It replaces the particular activity. So the example is there, the news is that his brother has gone is true. So what is true? The news is true. The news is true. So it is replaced by the noun clause that his brother has gone. Are you clear? So what is the main clause? The news is true. It is main clause. It has been replaced by this particular noun clause and it is an apposition. So that his brother has gone. It is an apposition to the noun or pronoun. So what is noun? Here noun is news. Noun is news. So here it is an apposition to the noun news. So you can be clear here that it is an apposition to the noun news. Second example is that it is true that his mother has come. So it is true. It is true. It is the main clause. So that his mother has come. It is that his mother has come. It is the noun clause because it starts with the word that and it is an apposition to the noun mother. Apposition to the noun mother. So the news, it is true. That means it is true. What is true? His mother has come. His mother has come. Now we will start the relative clause. So relative clause is also a kind of subordinate clause. Relative clause is also a kind of a subordinate clause. So relative clause is otherwise known as adjective clause and as it functions as an adjective. Relative clause is otherwise known as adjective clause. It functions as an adjective. How it functions as an adjective? There are some examples. The news is true what he said now. The news is true what he said now. So the news is true. It is the main clause. What he said now. What he said now. It is the clause. It acts as an adjective here. So it is otherwise known as an adjective clause. It always begins with the relative pronouns such as who, whom, which or that. These are the relative pronouns. Who, whom, which or that. Examples. I have already read the book which you gave me. The boy who always gives me books is my friend. So from these two examples, you will be very clear how the relative pronoun combines the two sentences and it is the relative clause. Here the underlined part, who always gives me the book, it is the relative clause as it is used by a relative pronoun who. The clause starts with the relative pronoun who, so that it is a relative clause. Who always gives me the book, it is the relative clause as it has been started with the relative pronoun who. Second, I have already read the book which you gave me. Which you gave me, it has been underlined. Which you gave me, here the relative pronoun is which. The relative pronoun is which. So it starts with the relative pronoun which, so that it is a relative clause. I have read the book which you gave me. So you gave me the book which I read. So this example is the combination of two sentences. You gave me a book. I have already read the book. So here the common word is a book or the book. The common word is book and it has been joined by the relative pronoun which. Again you see the first example. I have already read the book which you gave me, and it has been divided into two parts. You gave me a book, I have already read the book. So these two sentences have been combined or joined by the relative pronoun which. Similarly, another example is there, the boy who always gives me the book is my friend. It is also combined with the two sentences, the boy is my friend, the boy always gives me the book. So here the common word is the boy. The common word is the boy, and it has been joined by the relative pronoun who. The boy is my friend, the boy always gives me the book. These two sentences have been combined by the relative pronoun who. So now you are clear about the relative clause. Relative clause always starts with the WH word and it begins with the relative pronoun who, whom, which or that. Now the relative clause is of two kinds, such as defining relative clause and non-defining relative clause. Defining relative clause is an essential part of sentence, whereas non-defining relative clause is an additional part of sentence. You will be clear from the examples. The first example is the boy who always gives me books is my friend. What is the main clause here? The boy is my friend. What is the relative clause here? Who always gives me books. So, who is the boy? Who always gives me books. So, here it has already been defined. So, it is an essential part of the sentence. The underlying part is defined relative clause which defines the noun phrase the boy. Whereas, the non-defining relative clause is an additional part of sentence. There is also an example here. Gopal who always gives me book is my friend. Gopal who always gives me book is my friend. Gopal who always gives me book is my friend. Here main clause is Gopal is my friend. Gopal is my friend. Who always gives me books. This is the relative clause. So here it is an extra information. It is an extra information to the noun or main clause Gopal. So who always gives me book, it is an extra information to the main clause. So you need not define it. So here it is called non-defining relative clause. Non-defining relative clause is kept separate from main clause with the help of comma or commas. You just see the example again. After Gopal there is comma. Who always gives me book, there is another comma here, is my friend. So I have told you non-defining relative clause is kept separate from the main clause with the help of comma or commas. There is another point here. Non-defining relative clause cannot take relative pronoun that. Another point is there. Non-defining relative clause cannot be used after an indefinite pronoun like anyone, anybody, anything, someone, somebody, something, etc. I hope you might be clear about the topic noun clause and relative clause. I hope you have enjoyed this video. Thank you all for watching my video.